Tonight I'm going to be talking about keeping it cool. Now there's a little bit of a backstory on this one. We had DSL and the modem ran kind of hot, meaning if I touched it, it was warm. After about a year, modem was connecting and disconnecting all the time, and then it finally gave out. So we called him, the guy came out, he puts the modem down, plugs his laptop in, asked me for my serial and my password, and we end up with a $120 bill for him. He was here not even 5 minutes, $60 for the modem and $60 for the service call. Now I researched this modem, and it turns out customers were saying they only last a year because they run so hot. It's a poor design. There's no little air gaps for the air to come in to cool it supposedly. Well, it only sits less than a millimeter off of the ground. So what we're going to be doing tonight, I've got this, this is my router here that runs, and we're going to be putting a cooling fan on it. As you can see here, I don't know if you can tell, but it's putting out quite a bit of heat, and it's been disconnecting on me a couple times. So what we're going to do is I obtained some of these older computer fans. If you look through your junk, or you could probably purchase one online, but I've been scrapping stuff for years now, and I always save the cooling fans. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to install a cooling fan on whatever it is you want to cool, and ensure that that product is going to last quite a bit longer than it normally would be designed to without the cooling fan. Okay, now this particular router, it runs off this wall wart, I call them. It's 9 volt DC, 1000 milliamps, so it's 1 amp. This fan is rated at 12 volts, 0.14 amp. What I'm going to do is just go ahead and touch the wires on the connector here, make sure it runs. Yeah, it's running, and I'm going to note, okay, it's blowing at me this way. So that's the first step of the project. Okay, so what you do now is you put your fan about where you want it to go, and just trace a little outline here so you know where it's going to sit. Now for this one, I think I'm actually going to run a dual fan, a combo, because these fans don't take much power. Hopefully there won't be any weird interference or anything from the magnet. I doubt it is, because these are made to go in high-tech computer gadgets anyway. So what I'm going to do at this point is trace a circle on here using a smaller circular object that's about the same size as this, and then I'm going to cut that out, mount the screw holes, and we're going to solder the power wires. They're going to go into some holes I'm going to drill on the chassis, and then we're going to determine on this circuit board, you can see here's where you would plug the power jack in. We're going to use our meter, our tester, to poke around and find out where the voltage is on these boards. And then we're going to connect our fan power wires onto the board, so it's going to be powering off of itself. Okay, here we go. I got a real sloppy sketch on here, but I'm not going to worry about that. I've got this hole saw here, so I'm going to go ahead and rip. Now, if you notice here, this piece serves a dual purpose. It's shielding, meaning it deflects any RFI or radio frequency interference. So this is important. But it's also kind of getting in the way of me moving the air around where I want to. So to get around that, I'm just going to drill out a couple more holes in here real quick. You can see it doesn't really look pretty, but I don't worry about that. One of the things I noticed was these the fans, the slots for the screws were a little bit small diameter for some of the fasteners that I grabbed. So I'm just going to go ahead, to avoid a hassle later on down the line, I'm going to go ahead and drill them out. Now, I didn't have a hole saw that was the proper size for the larger fan. So I'm going to go ahead and use my favorite trusty old hot knife and go ahead and try to cut a circular hole. And this is going to be time consuming, so I'm only going to show you one little rip here. Okay, I got all the holes cut out. This is how I'm going to set the screw holes rather than a drill. And I try to do this one screw at a time for the first two, just to reduce the margin of error. I know the screws don't match, but it's not really supposed to look pretty. It's supposed to keep this thing cool so it doesn't blow up, because it's been acting up lately and I don't feel like, I know I have a couple of these laying around, but, and they're all garbage picked. So you get the idea. Okay, so I went ahead and mounted the fans. This one is going to blow in, the other one is going to blow out, so we're going to have a whirlwind vortex of cooling. I went ahead and utilized these little slots that were already cut in here to hide the wires going inside, because what we're going to do is the fans are going to be powered off of the input plug. So what I did, I've got it plugged in and running, and I'm going to take my tester here. There's a little solder tab here, I'm guessing that's the ground, and a center tab, I'm guessing that's positive. And if you take a look at my meter here, you'll see I'm getting 10.5 volts, which is perfect. It's rated at 9. Stuff usually runs a little hotter. So I'm going to get this set up to cut the wires in and solder them, and then we'll pop the case back on and do a test, and we'll be in business, keeping it cool. Okay, so when we got it all put together and tested it, what we found was the smaller fan that was mounted on this side was making quite a racket. So we switched it out for this little larger one that's real quiet. I mean, if you had the router, it was mounted in your attic or something, but ours is in the bedroom, so we wanted to keep it quiet. Now, the way this is set up to run here is this fan's going to be blowing air into the chassis. This fan's going to be sucking air out, so it's going to circulate the air real good. One of the important things you need to do at that point is I cut this piece of, it's just patio door screen that I got when somebody wrecked their patio door. So just lay that sucker in there, and then it will be important for every 6 months or as a year goes by, when I take a look in there, I'll see that that's going to be all gunked up with some dust. So in this case, I'll just pop these 4 screws off of here and clean the dust off. Now keep in mind, depending on what you're going to be doing this to, like if it's a modem that you're going to have to return, they're not going to like that you cut holes in it. Obviously you void your warranty. Probably going to blow something up or start a fire if you try to do this at home, so I would not recommend doing this. I can't be responsible for any idiots blowing stuff up, but this is a great solution to a problem of overheating. A lot of manufacturers honestly manufacture the stuff to run hot, so it just fries out after a couple of years. So there you have it, folks. Keeping it cool with Petey. I'll give you a quick demo here. There you go. Look at that. Whew, oh man, refreshing.